Good. Hello everyone. Sorry about this. Obviously major technical glitches on account of the driving lightning this time round. You can see the rain is starting to fall. I am back in the tent, not speaking to you from the picture that you are seeing that is hanged or is suspended from a tree. Now the Zoomy on duty found a gorgeous woodland kingfisher, and we've just tried to see if he or she cannot re-find the woodland kingfisher. It was very pretty. And so she's going to do that, or he's going to do that. I don't know who it is. It'd be lovely to know which Zoomy we had. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is have a look under the microscope. Because what I found, we all know this piece of grass. There it is. Very nice. And it's called a cat's tail, as far as I remember. Parotus patens. And what we're going to do is now look at it under the microscope. Look at that. What we have there, now you're going to have to look quite carefully, is the grass, the stalks, the anthers, the awns, which are those beautiful purple things, and then if you look very carefully, there's a spider's web, and then if you look even more carefully, inside the spider's web is a spider. Isn't that amazing? It is fully alive. I didn't know it was in there. We stuck it under the microscope, and there it is. And it was doing a little bit of moving earlier. And what you can see to the top of your screen, there is the spinnerets. Those are those sort of spiky bits sticking out of the abdomen. And you know what, it's so small, I can't actually point to it. Let me try and see if I don't. No, I'm just going to push it, you see, if I try and bring. Oh, there's my pointing stick. So that there, the top end, that's the back side that you can see. And then the front end would be to the bottom of your screen, and I'm just going to move it slightly to see if we can't get a little bit of movement from the spider so that you'll believe that he's alive or she's alive. I suspect that this cocoon, which is, it's not strictly speaking a cocoon, but I suspect that the sort of casing that it's made for itself is to protect it from the elements. Now I see that our woodland kingfisher is back. No, it's gone. The Zoomy refound our woodland kingfisher, and I'm afraid it is now flown away. Anyway, let me show you how small this thing is. Well done, Zoomy. I do apologize that it flew off. Very, not very confiding. There we are. It's in that tiny, tiny little silken sack that the golden spider lives. Isn't it lovely? I'm going to try and do this now. James, you want to know which flower out here has the most specialized pollination technique or strange one? James, I would go with something like I'm just getting another angle on the spider. I would go with something like a carrion plant which smells disgusting. It smells like rotting carrion, and that in turn attracts flies, and the flies then somehow gather the pollen on their backs, fly off to another carrion plant, and that is how the carrion plant is fertilized. So in my opinion, that would be the plant that is the most interestingly pollinated. I can't think of anything else that is particularly amazing, except any fig tree. In fact, fig trees, I think, are completely astounding. Every single fig tree out here has got a wasp species that is unique to the fig tree. And without that wasp species, the fig tree cannot breed, and without the fig, the wasp cannot breed either. And what happens is it's a sort of key and lock situation where a wasp from the wrong kind of fig cannot get into the fruits or into the flowers of the figs. And so it has to be the correct kind of wasp. And as far as I remember, and I keep having to reread this sort of thing, the fig fruit actually contains the flower. So it's an not completely formed fruit, but there is a sort of fruitish shell around the fig before it's mature. And what happens is that the wasp male goes into the fig tree through a specialized opening that only he can fit through. He goes into the fig. He mates with a female who cannot fly. She never ever leaves the fig. She then lays her eggs inside the fig, and then, or maybe it's the Maybe it's the male that stays inside. I think it's probably the male that stays inside. Then the female comes in, as she comes into the fig, she gathers pollen on her back. She comes in, she mates with the male, and then she flies away again. And then the male's job is finished. He's done. And the fig will then mature because she's brought with her on her back pollen from another fig. She'll then fly off to another fig and do the same, and the same process will be repeated, or she will lay her eggs inside a fig, and if it's a female it'll fly away, and if it's a male it will remain in there. But every single fig out here has got a different wasp that pollinates it. Isn't that amazing? We don't have many figs on this property. There are a couple on Cheetah Plains of the Ficus stillmanii variety, but I don't think that there are any other figs around here that I know of. Alrighty, let's head across to the dam cam. Brilliant. Well done, Megan. There is a heron, a grey heron. Well done, Zumi. And what it's doing, of course, is fishing or frogging. It looks not unlike Taylor McCurdy did the other day when she was out there trying to catch frogs with Tristan and I. In fact, it looks very stealthy, just like Taylor, actually. Standing very, very, very still. Isn't that amazing? And they have the most astonishing reaction time. They also have very sensitive beaks that allow them to feel any movement below the beak. So they will feel things with their feet now. If there's any movement against the bird's feet, the heron will predict where that movement's going to end up. Stab down. There we go. Look at that. Got a tilapia. Brilliant. I'm assuming it's a tilapia. It could have been a very small catfish having a little drink now. That's fantastic. Beautiful framing from the Zumi. This is magnificent. And now he's just giving himself a bit of a beak clap there. You saw that? Yes, he's clapping for himself. Because, of course, a heron is unable to clap with its wings. Very good. Let's just keep watching it. Now, Aqua the heron is made of sterner stuff than Byron or Taylor or me or David. It is not afraid of the lightning. You can see even with that tall neck, it's not even vaguely afraid of the lightning. Now its head. Oh, another great frame from the Zumi there. Well done. And now it will go in seek in search of another fish or perhaps another frog. Beautiful. Isn't that marvelous? Good stuff. I've got one more angle of the spider I want to show you. There we are. And you can see the spinnerets now moving. Can you see the spinnerets at the top there moving? A little bit, says Megan. Yes, well, Megan, I mean, the spider's hardly about to start swinging from the chandeliers, is it? It's going to... There we go. There we are. Megan, did you see that? Megan is directing today. There we go. She says she did see it, and she's not deeply impressed, but at least it's moving. And let's see if it doesn't actually produce some silk. There we go. It's producing silk. That is fantastic. Shelley, you want to know what my favourite thing to look at the microscope is and why? Well, my favourite thing to date has been the wart on David's foot. David's foot wart was fascinating. It was gory and interesting at the same time. I'm obviously being completely facetious, but... we're not going to watch the spider anymore. Right, we're back to me. Okay, and I don't know. What was the most amazing thing that we've seen? Oh, I remember what it was. It was the snail. It was that banded snail, single-banded snail that Steph found for us, and I watched it for a long time with Brian, I think it was. We spent a long time watching it. There were two things, actually. It wasn't with Brian. And it crawled all over my hand, and it was incredible to watch the different ways that it moved. And then the other thing was with Brian. It was a caterpillar eating acacia leaves, and we watched it for about 25 minutes, munching away at the leaves. It was the most fantastic thing to see. So those are the two favourite things that I've ever seen under the microscope. Good. Right, well, I suppose that the spider has outlived its use. No, it hasn't. And so we'll go and look at it there again. Now, Rachel, you reckon you see baby spiders in there. Well, that's not impossible. Let me change the focus slightly to the back No, I don't see. Oh, maybe. Top left, maybe. Top left of the nest there. Yeah, maybe that's a baby spider. Let me bring the focus back to the front. I don't see any there. But Rachel, the size of this thing and the thickness of it and the impermeability of it would certainly indicate perhaps the spider is in need or has produced some babies. That might be one just in the top left-hand side there. But I don't think so. I think it's part of the grass. Anyway, I think that's just gorgeous, wonderful stuff. Good. David is being very funny, you can see. David, when did you become a comedian?
Oh, don't know.
Was it today?
Yes.
No, good. It was today he became a comedian, everyone. Now, Taylor, who has returned from the lightning, has brought us something to have a look at. Well done, Taylor.
I'm back as the fossicker, I'm here.
She says she's back as the fossicker. You can have a look at her. She will wave at you while I set this thing up under the microscope. Well done, Taylor. She's fossicking around with her pliers. And we have another guest in the tent. There it is. Byron Sarau. Hello, Byron.
I do apologise, I got a bit wet and there's a lot of lightning around and I feel like I'm a bit of a conductor with the aerial.
No one can hear you, Byron. No one is concerned about your sad sob story about being a lightning conductor.
Alright.
Apparently they can hear him.
Oh, you can hear us. Fantastic. I'll speak louder. Maybe what I'll do is this. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Byron. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It is good to be back and surprisingly good to see you.
I was equally surprised to see you.
Alright, continue, James.
Right, we have a caterpillar here. I don't know what caterpillar it is. Byron, do you know what caterpillar it is?
It's a hairy caterpillar.
Oh, thank you, Byron. That's like being in the presence of, what's his name? The guy who wrote the insect book, forgotten. Anyway, it is a hairy caterpillar. Byron, might I prevail upon you to go, that means ask you to do something. May I ask you to go out the window there? There is a box full of brown button spiders. If you could bring it here and in the process not get bitten, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Good. And we'll show Byron our brown button spiders. While we have a look at this caterpillar, let us cue the microscope. There we go. Well done. Excellent. There it is. It's possibly the most beautiful caterpillar I've ever seen. It reminds me of a tiger. Doesn't it remind you of a tiger, David? Yes. Which of course reminds me that I'm going to India on Sunday. That will be fun. Hopefully I will see something slightly larger and tiger-like than this caterpillar. Now, most of the caterpillars, of course, we really do struggle to identify to species level, but I am going to tell you that this caterpillar is sitting on Crotalaria spherocarpa, and if we get Veronica Root's book, which unfortunately I do not have with me here, I've left it back at the camp, we'll try and get that at some stage, she mentions a butterfly species that likes to eat this plant. So I'm going to definitely try and find out what that is in a little while. Good, come back here, we have something else to look at. Byron, are the spiders in there?
They are indeed, James.
Have they hatched?
I risked my life.
You did. That egg sac is not hatched.
No.
Do you have any idea how long the incubation period is? Because I do not.
I have no idea, James. I do apologize.
Now the problem here, Byron, is that there were two of these things in here, and now there seems to be one, which means that the other one is somewhere around. And so before we have a look at this, we're just going to look underneath on the off chance that it is about to crawl onto my lap and then down my pants, which would be very unpleasant, wouldn't it, Byron?
Yes.
No one wants to be bitten by a brown button spider anywhere. Good. Right, well there it is. And it is quite a beautiful spider, also known as a recluse. Now, it's easy to identify because of that obvious little hourglass-shaped bit of red on the abdomen, which actually the black widow in South Africa does not have. So it's only the brown widow. And then also, if we look at the egg sacs down below there, David, can you see them? They're those little things that look like stars.
Yeah,
I can hold it like that for you if you like. There we go. Please excuse the gorgeousness of this box. And that is unique. Those are unique to Lactodectrus geometricus, which is what the spider is. But they've been there now for, I'd say 4 or 5 weeks. And they don't show any signs of hatching into vicious little spiders. So I'm not sure that they're going to, but we'll carry on leaving this thing like this. And it is a perfect habitat for this thing. Now, time-lapse, you're wondering where I'm going in India. We're going to Kaziranga in Assam, which is in the foothills of the Himalaya. Not the Himalayas, Byron. Thank you very much. Be careful.
Pleasure, James.
You'll be all right, will you?
I'll do my best.
And then we're going to Bandhavgarh, which is in Madhya Pradesh. Yes, Madhya Pradesh, which is in the middle of the country. So those are the 2 places we're going. And, I mean, the idea is to go and see if we can find some tigers. And just to assess the possibility of doing this sort of thing in India. David, what are you laughing at?
It's just very casual.
What?
Finding the tigers.
Well, we're going to try. Yes. Oh, I'm very excited.
Why do you get to go and I have to stay here?
Because, Byron, you don't get to go because you have a safari business.
Oh, fair enough.
Otherwise, obviously, we'd send Byron. Okay, good. I'm going to now allow Taylor to come in here and talk about... Oh, she can't. She doesn't have a microphone on. Taylor, would you mind fetching Veronica Root's book?
Yep.
It's in my box.
And a mic.
I'll bring mine.
And a mic.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to show you something very secret under the microscope. Does anyone know what that is? Anyone have a guess what that is under the microscope? Send your answers to #SafariLive, and I will reveal what this great... No, not a question. Send your answers to #SafariLive as to what this great thing under the microscope is. Let me reveal it slightly further. Phew, can you believe it, hey? David, do you think you'd get this correct? I don't think I would. I think the only way I know this is because I'm holding it in my hand. Wonderful. Megan, the director, has got the answer correct. I'm sure you're all going to get it. I just think it's quite amusing because Taylor put it on the desk. I don't know why she put it on the desk. Okay, let's come back to me. You had enough look at that. Right, let's head back to the dam cam. Well, ooh, that's a fascinating picture. Gorgeous. There we are, the ham cam. Okay. Christine, you want to know if I can show you the fishes that live in there? Well, there are two main types. One is a catfish, and the other is a tilapia. Obviously, they don't live on that tree, or that one. Or indeed in that aerial. They don't live in the aerial either. In the dam, not on the tree, or in the aerial, live catfish and tilapia. And I think there are probably 2 species of tilapia. Excuse me. And possibly 2 species of catfish as well. But I'm not very good with the fishes. Brent is very good with his fishes, mainly because, of course, he likes to catch them. I like to eat fish, but I don't like to catch them very much. Right, thank you. So you all got it completely correct. It was, in fact, a marble. Well done, everybody. How did you manage to guess?
You've lost your marbles, James.
Good. Byron says I've lost my marbles. He's now laughing at his own joke, obviously. Tanis, while you watch Byron laugh at his own joke, you want to know about whether or not they have any strong conservation projects in India. They have many. They have a number of really fascinating creatures, but the main focus, of course, as it is with Africa, you look after the keystone species and everything else seems to follow. Huge conservation of tigers, that's the main one. It's the Bengal tiger. It's one of the subspecies of many subspecies of tiger. It's the biggest one as far as I remember from my sort of readings. And then they've got interesting things like the one-horned rhinoceros, and where we are going, it's the most prolific or the easiest place to see the one-horned rhinoceros. That is in Kaziranga in the Assam province. I feel like I'm being stalked.
Not a very good stalker.
Mm-mm.
Here we go, James. I'm going to go and find some elephants for us.
Are you?
Yes.
How?
Because there's a big herd on
There's an
the
elephant.
track.
There's an elephant on the dam cam.
I'll go find a herd.
Wonderful. There we have a gorgeous elephant. I think Byron... Are you going out again?
Yes. I think,
Right, the guys are going out again, which is excellent news, because then you don't have to listen to me waffling away for the next hour and 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Right, so we'll watch those elephants coming down to drink despite the inclement weather. You can see they're very dark, of course, on account of the fact that it has been raining on them. And I was reading again today about their skins and how they are most certainly not waterproof. And yes, they do get a little bit inundated with water, but not severely so. And the fact that they are swimming indicates that it is in fact still very, very warm at the moment. Now, I have retrieved this book, thanks very much to Taylor McCurry, who's about to go out again. It could be that caterpillar we saw, interestingly, could be the moth called the beautiful tiger, which, given the colour of the actual caterpillar, is very possible. So that's maybe there. Is known to occur there. Yes, the moth is orange and yellow with blue-black markings, not common, blah, 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 blah. Or it could be one of the blues, except I think it's too big for one of the blues. Or the Barker's smoky blue. No, I don't think it's any one of those. I'm going to go with a tiger, a beautiful tiger moth. Very lovely. Oh, the elephants are now swimming. This is fantastic. So that shows you how hot it is at the moment. Annette, you say, are there more females than males on the property? Well, let's count them. Taylor is one female, and I'm assuming you're talking about the elephants, so let's go with the elephants. I think you'd find that in the Greater Kruger National Park, yes, there probably is a slight skewing of the population towards females, and that is hilarious. That looks like my nephew, William, trying to swim. That's fantastic. Annette, I think you'll find that, there's probably a 50-50 birth ratio, but I think probably slightly more males lose their lives, before they reach complete adulthood, because they aren't on their own, probably in that vulnerable stage when they get kicked out of the herd. But on reflection, I don't know what would be killing them, so it's probably, other than other male elephants, I suppose, they probably kill each other a bit more than they kill any other kinds of elephants. So it is well possible, I suppose, that there's a slight skewing towards the females because of the damage that the males do to each other. And that's wonderful. You can see the parents sort of standing there saying, well, or the mother standing there saying, what are you doing in there? Is that a half-trunk elephant? No, it's not. I've been wondering where they've gone. Here come the rest now. Well done, Zumi. You're doing a sterling job. It's a lovely herd. And obviously there's an atmosphere of frivolity around there. Two young bulls having a bit of a play. A great Olympic swimmer and one of them. A couple of others coming in, and I think Taylor is on her way there right now, and so hopefully you'll get some of the sound effects, because that will be really the best part of what's going on there. Wonderful. Taylor has already managed to get her car going. I'm not going to go out and walk again. I think we'll probably stay in the tent, so we'll see you back here shortly.
Right, we're back in the car again. No more fossicering for me. And I must tell you, on our way back, when we were dashing, because VM and I got absolutely drenched from the rain, though that's not what we were really worried about. We were more worried about the massive bolts of lightning that were striking the ground. Just ahead of us is, actually saw something quite interesting. Just on Pangolin Track, which is not far from here, probably about a kilometer away, was a massive herd of elephants, which was great. But the cool part about it is we saw about 6 or 7 really big elephant bulls. Not massive tuskers, but bulls that were at least in their 30s. And they were all sort of coming towards this elephant herd. There were 2 bulls that were having a push and shove around too, and it didn't look like a little silly match like what we normally see. So I'm hoping if we go back down towards Weaver's Nest, we don't want to go too far away from home either in case we get another wave of showers and lightning, as I'm hoping that they're going to be still around there, which will be really amazing to see. And isn't that crazy, on a day that's not the most ideal weather, though there's not much wind, but rain and lightning and thunder, all the elephants have come out for our viewing pleasure, which is really cool. So I think that we're just going to we'll pretend that it's elephant day today, and we'll just do elephants, which I think is quite fun. Well, it's definitely my favorite day. What do you say, VM? Are you enjoying all the elephants? You miss the elephant. Ah, VM says he misses the leopards, and then as he said that a tear streamed down from his face. Don't worry, VM, I also miss the leopards. Thank goodness we had Tingana the other morning. Hey? Luckily you got that fix. Yes, and in the evening as well. So VM's actually lucky. He's had a double whammy with leopards. We got Tingana in the morning, and then he got him in the afternoon again, right at the end with Tristan. So if anybody's had their leopard fix, it's VM. And I'm glad that he has, because otherwise, my goodness, we would feel the wrath of a VM as he took out his leopard frustrations on all of us. Okay, we're not too far away now. Oh, as I drive through Philemon's Dip, my legs hurt because Rebecca and I were running up and down this hill backwards today doing exercise. It was complete torture. I don't know what is wrong with us sometimes as we do the most bizarre things. Whoop, whoop, bit bumpy. You okay there? Did you lose something? The camera falling apart. The roads are so bumpy, we're rattling everything loose. Now, I'm sure most of you are wondering about our dear friend the zebra. I went and looked for it this afternoon. I went down Zoe's and I drove all around Quarantine, and I did see her tracks, but I couldn't find her. So I'm wondering if she hasn't just maybe moved off to go and search for the rest of the herd, because they haven't come back yet. I don't know, I think she's given up on waiting for them to make their return. So we will probably try and look for her again first thing in the morning, and we'll hope and see if she's around. Like I said, I saw her tracks, I had a good look around, but I think she'll be fine for now. You got to see her this morning, and I saw some screenshots and some footage of her, and she looked well. I'm just glad to see that she's still trying to eat. That to me is a really, really good sign, because if an animal is really sick and injured, the first thing they do is stop eating. So the fact that she's just gone, oh, you know, this is a little bit painful. My goodness, I can't move very well, and I've got a few gashes on my leg. And of course, well, missing half of her flesh or her skin on her stomach, which is not great. Okay, so I'm just quickly concentrating. Right, they were walking this way. Let's go check a little bit further down the road. And oh, look who we've got walking down the road in front of us. But I think she'll be all right. I think she's fine. Let's keep positive. Let's say that she's not going to get eaten by lions or hyenas, and she's not going to get an infection, and she should be okay. We have got a monster of an elephant bull in front of us now. I think this is the one I saw earlier. We'll just stop here. My goodness, he is big. He is a tall elephant. And first things first, just as I'm looking at him in this sort of dying light, secretions from the temporal glands, and I think I can see wet behind his back legs, which means that this boy is in must. Yes, there we go. You can see the wet patches. So we won't be getting on his bad side today, but he is so tall. You know, we often see elephants that are really massive in size, sort of around the shoulders, around the midsection, a big head, a trunk as thick as my entire body. But you don't often get to see them that they're so tall like this. So this is actually really interesting. Like I said, when we first passed through, all the bulls were pushing and shoving. There were 2 that were having a particular big battle. And I can hear the breeding herd just off to the left. So I wonder if he's come through already and settled it down and chased the boys away, because the other bulls we saw weren't as big as him, and they definitely weren't in must. You might not be able to hear that. He's listening. You see how he stopped, how he's smelling? But there were some elephants probably a couple kilometers from here that were screaming and shouting, maybe down towards Twin Dams. So that's what he was just listening to there. Now, of course, that doesn't really demonstrate how good an elephant's hearing is, because I was even able to hear it. And, of course, it was a loud trumpeting sound. It could have actually even just been a calf trying to suckle and Mom saying no, one throwing a tantrum. But who knows? But he definitely took some interest in that. He hasn't, like I said, I don't know if he's gone in already, but the rest of the herd is probably about 50 meters from him. No, I'm not going, like I said, when he comes down towards us, we're going to move out of the way. Hello, big boy. I'm just going to give him a bit of room because we've got the camera to zoom in on him. We don't need to get close to him. Hello, big chap. He's not a small elephant. Right, this is so cool. And he's got very uneven tusks. His right tusk is sort of growing towards the ground and his other tusk is growing out. Now, we're fine, of course, if you are worried about this elephant bull coming towards us. He's just walking. And like I said, there's just no need to agitate an elephant bull when he is in must, because his temper is, well, a lot shorter than what it normally is. Elephants are very tolerant creatures, especially because of their size. I think that they know that there's not many things out here that will really bother them. How cool is this? And he's not showing any threat signs either. He's just like he's being at the time. He hasn't decided to go into a trot. I'm going to stop actually right here. Oh, this is my favorite. Look how he's curled his trunk. Now he's picked up into a bit more of a... That's a typical must bull walk. But he's not charging us or anything, so don't panic. I'll let you know when to panic. When I start going pale and my knuckles are clenching to the steering wheel, that's normally a good sign. But what I'm hoping is going to happen is he's actually going to go past us, and then we can carry on. We can go and view the breeding herd. Let's see what he does. He stopped again. Some thunder rumbling in the distance. Now, big boy, I wish elephants... now we wait, because it's a bit too close to try and sneak past an elephant that's in must. And I can't see him. He's hiding behind a couple of worry bushes at the moment. He's very camouflaged. He's probably just waiting there in the pounce position. And then he's going to jump out onto top of us. What do you think, Liam? Right, we're going to wait for this bull to just move off the road a little bit further before we sneak on past and follow up on the rest of the herd. But I believe James as well, he's busy doing all the narration today, so let's go back across to James as the dam cam narrator.
I love the facial expression that Taylor pulled there. That is a magnificent elephant bull she's looking at. Okay, let's go across to the dam cam. It's getting pretty dark out there, but the elephants are now having the best possible time. Look at them having a wonderful swim. All of them now have given up on any source of or sense of decorum, and they're all lying about in the mud, enjoying an early evening swim before supper. And who says that adult animals don't like to play? There is no possible reason for them to be doing what they're doing now other than for fun. Oh, look at them. Now, my grandmother, we've had the same question from Tormented Zombie Owl. That's quite interesting. You say, can elephants get bilharzia? Well, when I saw that question, I thought, good grief, I doubt anyone's ever looked to find out. So I did a bit of research, and they can. They can get bilharzia. Now, bilharzia comes in more than one type. I mean, you get 4 or 5 different, probably 6 or 7 different types. And elephants, Asian elephants can get 1 or 2 types, and African elephants can get 2 types as well. So that's quite interesting. I'm not entirely sure which types they can get. And for those of you who don't know, bilharzia, or schistomiasis, has nothing to do with being a schizophrenic. It's got to do with a worm that has 2 hosts, a little bit like a malarial parasite has 2 hosts, one of which is human beings and the other of which is a snail. And from those snails, you can get infected by the worms, which then get into your liver, and they can do some fairly nasty things to human beings. I suspect you'll find that these elephants have got a natural resistance to it, and so they might feel a little bit down for a couple of days, but then they're probably okay. And they're probably, many of them, if they can be infected, they probably just carry it. And, it may recur if they're feeling very weak. Look at that one backing up there. And of course, if you don't want to get bilharzia, this is the kind of water you need to try and avoid. Except that this water doesn't have human beings using it for their toilets, basically. That's how it gets transferred back into the water. So it'd probably be okay walking around in this water. It does have elephants using it, and so if we're infected by the same worms as elephants, then I guess we could get it from water like this. They are having the best possible time there. Rachel, you're asking what bilharzia is. As I said, it's a worm that needs two hosts, and the worm has a snail host in the water, and then a mammal host out of the water, and often that's a human being, and sometimes it's an elephant, clearly, and I suspect various other mammals as well. And, well, the symptoms it causes in human beings would be a general feeling of unwell, sore stomach, and eventually, of course, you will start to urinate blood. It can have neurological systems. You get numb legs or seizures sometimes, and it can cause permanent damage if it's not treated. And so while it sounds like a very dire disease, one pill will get rid of it. And indeed, Gendre, we think, had it the other day. Brent diagnosed him. He took the treatment regardless, and he got better. So it may or may not have been bilharzia, but certainly it's not difficult to treat. But if untreated, it can be very unpleasant indeed. Rebecca in Australia, you say that you would like to go swimming in there. I must confess I have exactly the same feeling until I actually think about getting in there with them. I'm not sure that they'd react in the same way as dolphins, were you to go leaping in there in your favourite swimming trunks. I think you'd also get quite muddy. You'd also, of course, feel frogs and catfish swimming around your feet, which would be slightly distasteful. But wouldn't it be lovely to go swimming with elephants? That is a really amazing sighting. All of them, from young to old, having a great time, completely submerging. You can see it's not very deep in the middle there. And we had a wonderful swimming sighting yesterday, actually, of a bull at Chitwa Dam, and he was just having the best time on his own in the sunlight. This is fantastic. I can actually hear them from here. One of them's shouting. I don't know if Taylor's going to go down there or not. I guess it's getting a little bit dark, isn't it? Anyway, we'll just enjoy them like this. This is fantastic. Now, the sound effects you could expect to be hearing, I suppose, would be, yes, some trumpeting and shouting at each other. They'll do that for fun. Then you'd hear a tremendous amount of splashing, and for me the best sound is almost a whale-like sound when they blow the water out of their noses, and it's such a lovely sound. It just makes me feel very relaxed for some reason. I'm not sure why. And if you're wondering why the focus is shifting like that, it's just because the camera has to work very hard to figure out what's going on in the dim light outside. And once you come back to me here, I'll show you how very dim it is outside. And the temperature, I'm going to say the temperature around now is about 26 degrees Celsius or so, which would put us at roughly 79. I was correct. Look at that. Ah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Megan, for... did you type that up? No, it actually picks it up off the weather station, so I was correct. She wasn't just being kind to me. That's wonderful. And if you look behind me, and we'll actually take a little... No, we won't, because you won't be able to see me. We'll just have a look outside there. That's how dark it is. So that camera's doing a rather great job of trying to see what's going on with the elephants. Isn't that wonderful? Then we had a question about a pepper tick and whether we could try and find one and put it under the microscope. Yes, I'm going to try and find you one. And the best place to look for one, after I've been for a walk, of course, is on my person. And I thought I would look on my shorts. And Christine, you wanted to see it. I don't think I've actually got one today, which is doesn't make me sad. It might make you sad. Let's see if we can't find something. No, that is from Panica Maximum. You have a tiny tick in the US, Dana, that you say is called a turkey mite, and do I think it's the same thing? Dana, I suspect very strongly that it isn't the same thing. I think you'll probably find that all of your ticks are slightly different species, but of course they do have similar effects. So these are all bits of Panicum maximum that I was lying in earlier. Let's go across to this side of my short pant. No. None of them are moving. So what I will do is go outside once you link away, and then I will try and find a tick. I don't want to put it on my leg because there's nothing more disgusting than looking at skin underneath a microscope. Let's head to Byron, find out what he is going to look at now.
The same radio. So we are driving around, busy trying to see if we can't spot any nocturnal animals coming out already. It's starting to get dark. I think this cloud cover's playing a bit of a factor at the moment, although it has the seasons you can definitely feel are changing. So I've been driving around just using the spotlight, trying to see if I can spot a little chameleon perhaps, or a little owl. Trying to listen out. Oh, there's some beautiful lightning that just was off in the distance. It's so quick. It was nice to pop in, say hi to James in the tent, in his little dungeon. Don't tell him I called it that. I think he'll get very upset. Alright, now Taylor's got something interesting. She's experimenting with infrared. Let's go and see what she's found.
We've just actually taken it off infrared. Now we're going to put it back on again. But we're just waiting about 5 more minutes or so, and then I think it should be dark enough. See, at the moment, the camera's infrared is working really well. But the light which we've got now, you can't see it. Remember I was holding it yesterday evening? That same light, VM has made the most unbelievable contraption, a little frame, that it now sits above on. But it's just not dark enough yet to actually see the effects of that light. But while these guys are over here, can you see where they've gone yet? We're actually almost near Treehouse Dam, and I'm wondering if they're going to go down towards the dam. It's still quite warm. But anyway, we'll have a look at these guys for a moment. And they've now pushed down a marula tree. And like I said, it is dark, there's lots of clouds. I don't even know what the time is anymore. But they've pushed this small tree down that is now being held up by a couple of other smaller trees. And they are having a great feast. Oh, thank you, Megan. Megan says it's 6:15 in the evening here in South Africa. Now, they're only eating the leaves. You see that? How Mom has broken a big branch and she's dropped it on the floor so that the little elephants, who aren't quite as tall and their trunks can't stretch right up to the tops of the trees to pull those leaves down. That was very nice. Thank you, Mom. I suppose that's what moms are for. Hey, they're always helping. And you can even see these little ones are desperately trying on the right to reach up. Here we go. Come on, big girl, stretch up. Look at her using her entire trunk. No, don't pull that little branch. Pull a big branch down so you can share with everyone. No, she's just helping herself out. Maybe if she can reach that one. Come on your back legs. Ah, there we go. Now she'll pull that entire thing off. Look at the strength in her. And she's really not even trying at the moment. She's just sort of trying to twist it and wiggle it. There we go. Almost whacked her offspring on the head, but that's all right. Elephants are tough, I suppose. There we go. Lovely. Now you might see the little ones all come around her, as we saw just a moment ago. Yes, there comes a little one to the side. I think these were the lot that were screaming and that I had said to you when we were watching that big elephant bull, he'd stopped doing what he was doing and traumatizing us. There we go. Now we're in infrared now, so you get that sort of greenish tinge. So I think this was a lot, some of the youngsters playing around. Maybe someone got upset and trumpeted about. Can you hear water, Vian? I thought I heard elephants splashing in water, but I could be mistaken. But how cool is this? Have a little listen to the birds that are now shouting, saying good night to everybody. Okay, well the birds have stopped calling now, which is so typical, but the elephants are at least moving around. Hello, Rakesh. Now, as we stand and watch, not stand, I'm sitting, and I'm sure you are all sitting too, because you would honestly be standing in front of their computer. Sorry about that little moment there. Rakesh, you're wondering, hello, girl. Okay. Let me move for you. She just decided she was finished eating. Now, because it's getting a little bit dim here, I'm going to give the elephants a bit of space. She wasn't acting aggressively, but I was in her path. She was on an animal pathway, and she decided that she was done eating, and she wanted to go through. So we'll just watch. This elephant here is now pushing against this tree. Oh, wow. And Rakesh, I'll get to your question. You know me, I'm always get quite distracted. I can never concentrate on one thing, unfortunately. So, Rakesh, you said how many hours a day do elephants need to eat? Well, on average, about 19 hours every single day. So can you imagine standing at the buffet line and just going back, finishing your plate, getting a new plate, going back again, loading it up for 19 consecutive hours. Now, my goodness, there's a lot going on. We've got elephants behind us, elephants in front of us, elephants east of us. But we'll be fine. We're okay. They're very, very much relaxed and not too bothered. Oh my goodness, VM, this is incredible. Now, I'm obviously looking on the little screen that I've got here, and it looks like there were more elephants on the other side of the dam. It is, too. I can't believe how much you can see with the infrared. Is the light not coming on properly? We're having a bit of a problem with the big light, but it's okay for now. We'll just have to try, I think, keep a little bit closer. Is that right, Fiem? We won't be able, it's not going to be too great if everything's too far away. Let me go up a bit closer again. There's another gap. How cool is this, sir? I love the fact that we're able to now sit and watch elephants in the dark. But this is where you've really got to have your wits about you, and you mustn't get too silly, because even though you can see what's going on, it's quite difficult for us driving in the dark. So you don't want to get yourself stuck in between a herd of elephants. So as the elephants move, we'll move to making sure we've always got escape routes, and not because they're necessarily aggressive and they want to attack us or anything like that. That's hardly the case, but just because you need to make sure that you are safe at all times. Here they go again. We'll probably, here we go, switching over to infrared, and there are about 2 different herds of elephants here. There's one on the right side of the dam, which we'll show you in a moment, and then of course this herd coming in from the left. Elephant City at the moment. Yes, go for a midnight swim, you naughty thing. That's what I'm actually hoping that's going to happen, because I don't know if anybody has ever got any infrared swimming elephant footage. I think that could be a first, and I'd like to be a part of that. Wouldn't you, Viam? Be quite nice. See the naughty. I just hope they don't go skinny dipping, because there's children that watch this show. Can you imagine? That would be very awkward. Right, let's hope for no skinny dipping elephants. They better be wearing clothes. But this is lovely. All the little ones in a row, following mom, eating, which they seem to do all the time. Right, this is really, really cool. I'm actually really just enjoying sitting and listening. I think, you know what we should do is we haven't done enough, and I love to do it, is actually just sitting quietly and just having a little listen. There's birds chirping. You might hear the rain pattering against the rain covers. Let's do that. Hang on, VM. We've got an elephant. I've changed my mind. There's an elephant now charging into the water. I would love for you. Oh no, they're all going in now. Okay, I'll be quiet, I promise. Hang on. We've got elephants coming from all over now. Oh, they're youngsters. I'm not too worried. It looks like young bull a young cow that snuck up behind us. That's alright, as long as we don't get any more big ones coming through. Sorry, Costina, you were wondering what has attracted all the elephants to the water, I think the question was. Oh my goodness, VM, look at this confrontation. I'm going to get your question now. Now, Costa, hang tight. I'm going to get your question. Listen, listen. Mom, elephant, VM, can we have a look at this battle here? Look at Mom, she's pushing this other bull. I'm going to move back a little bit. Mom is pushing a very naughty young elephant bull who's coming around and terrorizing the herd. Don't take it out on us, girl. We're not the ones that are causing problem. There we go. That's not necessary to take it out on us. I just want to make sure that we're out of the way here. Come on, little boy. Well, this is the problem. This is where I can't see. Light at the back. Oh, elephants. There we go. Okay, we're just going to sit tight here for a little bit, and just until it settles down. But so what just happened over there, let me quickly explain to you, was a young bull, nowhere near the size, a third of the size of the big bull we just saw that was in must and come through. He's actually about to reapproach this elephant cow who's very angry with him. Look at how the way she's behaving. Going backwards on her legs, pushing forward. She's telling him to get lost, basically, in a not so polite way. There's lots of young elephant cows here at night time. They're standing on the dam wall. And I think she could be the matriarch too. She seems to be the biggest elephant in the group that I've seen so far out of the cows. Here we go. There's some contact again between the two. Push him off the edge of the dam. That'll teach him. They're coming and bothering a nice family getaway at the pool. Now, of course, that's probably not going to happen. But he's bigger than her, and he's bullying her. And there's a little elephant calf standing in the middle. Now, if that little elephant calf gets knocked down, which sometimes can happen with big boisterous bulls like this, and like I said, he's not actually a big bull. He needs a hiding from that bull that's in must. Now he's fighting with one of her other offspring. You can just see on the left-hand side behind the tree. And I don't think she's going to be very happy about that. Or perhaps she's not just going to retreat. This one is trying to stand up. It's another Ellie cow. Show him who's boss. Come on, girls. Stick together. And that's what they will do, is if you find that there is a big bull that comes through and gives them trouble, often they will all group together and force him out. Now, we're going to be forced out too because, well, we've got elephants coming towards us. That's fine. We're still alright. They're not bothered by us at all. It's just a little bit difficult to reverse in the dark. This is really cool, actually. How are you enjoying this, VM? Pity we can't get that light going. Oh, sneaky. Technology these days. Right, I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to try and get around. I might have to go the long way around and go and park on the other side of the dam, where we'll avoid being, well, sat on by a couple of elephants. But let's go across to Byron and see if he's found any creatures of the night.
Well, Taylor, I think you're having all the luck at the moment. It's wonderful to have such a lovely sighting of all those elephants. I haven't had any luck yet. I've been looking around for little chameleons or little owls or scorpions or anything that might be wandering around this evening. But no luck just yet, but it's too soon to panic, as I always say. We'll see, I'm sure we'll find something soon. Wouldn't it be nice if a leopard... Hang on, there's something in the road. Is it a Nat.Geo? I think it might be a little Nat.Geo sitting on the road. Let's have a look. Can you see it there, Craig? Yes, indeed. Oh, there it goes. Beautiful Nat.Geo. A little difficult to tell when they fly. It looked like a fiery neck Nat.Geo, but I'm not going to... Usually you might see two little white markings under the tail and wing to indicate it's a fiery-necked nightjar. But they do all look very similar. They're very well camouflaged, and it's hard to tell them apart, especially a fleeting glimpse like that. So I'm not going to hazard a guess as to which one it was exactly. Love those little nightjars, beautiful calls. That's a fiery-necked nightjar. And I hear these monotonous larks are still calling. And they are still quite active, and they do call into the night, which is quite interesting. Not because they're not nocturnal, but they are still very, very active. Now, let's head back to James in the tent and see what he is up to.
Now, you wanted to see the stingless bees, one of you, and I'm afraid the Twitter handle was so confusing, and then I reset something and I've lost it, so I'm going to ask for Final Control to tell me what your name is, you who wanted to see the stingless bees. Alzimum. Alzimum? Ozzimum. Azimum. Hello, Ozzimum. How's it going? Nice day. Over there, Australia. Good stuff. Over here we have the stingless bees tunnel. And they have, well, they've extended it substantially, haven't they, David?
We have.
Since we left, actually. And that's more building than they've done in all 2 years that I've been looking at them. Or just about 2 years. And we'll just let me twist the thing slightly so you can look into it. You look into it from there?
Look.
And we will try and look with a microscope, but you know it's bent now, so I think it's going to be difficult for us to see what's going on in there. Anyway, I think that's quite phenomenal. We'll see if they can come out. We'll put a microscope over it and see if they are attracted to the light. I'll tell you what else we'll do. Might be able to see if they're actually in the tunnel. If we put enough light on here and see if they aren't actually in there. Oh, come on. Here we are. That's what the wax looks like. So that's quite interesting. And I thought maybe we'd be able to shine through the wax and see if there was any movement. But I can't. So we'll go to the end and then see if we can't crawl our way over the top. There we are. Oh, so quite a recent building, looks like to me. That's the edge of it. Still quite wet there. I can hear those elephants shouting right now. And they're into it, but that's as far in as we can look these days. So maybe they'll come out again. I don't know. You know, it's interesting. I think this was built while the skull was actually in the tent, and it didn't seem to have any kind of outside access. So how on earth the stingless bees managed to build this thing when they were locked in the tent, I don't know, but they've lived in here now for well over a year and a bit, so I don't know. Maybe they'll come out again. Wonderful stuff. Thank you for asking me about that. I'd kind of forgotten about them. If you can believe it, how can one forget about your best friends, the stingless bees? Now, I went walking outside because I can't see anything outside now. It's pitch black. So I went walking outside and I thought, well, maybe my shorts will be able to pick up a tick or two. And I picked up a number of other things, but no ticks. So I'm very sorry that I'm not going to be able to show you a pepper tick under the microscope. And you know, I've never looked at a pepper tick under the microscope, and I think it would be a fantastic thing to see. So alas, that is not going to happen today. I did used to have another kind of tick in here. But I think, you know, it's been so long since I've been in here, I think it's gone. Eleanor, you say if it can, will a tick stay on the same host all its life? No, they don't do that. As soon as they're full of blood, they drop off the host and then they lay their eggs. So they don't hang around on one host for a long time at all. And then I think that some species will suck the blood out of the thing, land on the ground, lay their eggs, and then crawl up another grass stalk, wait for the next animal to go past, and do the same thing again. So I don't think they only have one life cycle on one animal necessarily. Most of them actually probably never see an animal because there are so many millions of them out here, and I mean the chances of them actually finding an animal to climb onto, I guess, are, they can do nothing about it. The animals have to actually walk straight through the nest in which they were born, and as you can see, I've been walking around out here now for about 10 minutes. Haven't managed to find one tick typically, because if I was on walk I would no doubt be savaged by them, and then nobody wants to see them when we're on walk. So that's the tick story. Good. We'll see what else we can find over here to have a look at. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal we can go and do outside because it's now dark. Oops. Oh. Ow. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. I'm going to see if I can't find an insect on this Digitaria eriantha. In the meantime, Byron would like to tell you about the night.
So, James, we've had no luck yet. I'm still looking, and I've come into an area where I know I've seen bush babies before. Just trying to have a look if there aren't any bush babies jumping around, or anything for that matter. I wonder if the weather didn't have something to do with it. Perhaps a bit of the rain and the moisture and all over the plants. Maybe some of the nocturnal animals aren't moving around just yet. Let's have a look. So, no, we still haven't had any luck, unfortunately. But as I said earlier, Taylor's got a lot of luck this evening, and those elephants sound like they are swimming. Let's have a look.
They are swimming. Look at them. Midnight splashing. Well, not quite midnight, but you get what I'm talking about. But just a quick dip, having a little play around in the water. They literally came in from the dam wall, went in, and now they're done. No, there's some little ones coming into shot now that have decided that they're not quite finished swimming just yet. Woo! Friday night, and I'm feeling good. That's what I can imagine the elephants are saying right now. I think that they are such wonderful creatures and such sort of characters, and they're so comical with all the things that they do, playing around, doing all these amazing things. Isn't that really cool, though? Now, I know it was a short sighting, but it was definitely a sweet one. And wait, maybe we're going to there's someone coming back now. Come this way so we can get you. Now, it's a pity it's just around the corner. Yes, come here. Into the light, please. Oh, my goodness, and there's loads of lightning building up in the south again. But luckily for us, it's far away, so we don't have to worry about it. But just listen to the noise that they're making in the water. That is definitely one pool party I'd love to join. Can you imagine? Let's see, I think there's some elephants that are coming back again, so they might just be having a good old time. You know what it's like, and children can never stay in the pool at once. They've got to go from one end, hop out, run away, jump back in. Perhaps they're playing Marco Polo and nobody has shouted fishy yet. And that's maybe the reason why there's poor one elephant just splashing around, shouting Marco Polo, not finding anybody in the dam. Shout fishy. I don't know if you know that game, but in South Africa, if you play Marco Polo and you shout fishy and you're caught outside the water, then you're out. Or then you become the target, the person that has to be the one that's blindfolded. And now it's quiet. No, one or two coming back in again. I suspect it's the young bulls that are playing about at the moment. It seems as though most of the herders now had their fun, moved off, and decided that that's the end of that. Can't be staying in the water, especially now that the wind has picked up. We don't want anybody to get sick. Well, at least that's what my mother would say to me. I think elephants are a lot more resilient to the cold, harsh weather than we are, so possibly swimming at night is not necessarily a problem. VM, you just gave me an absolute heart attack. VM put his torch on behind me, and all I could see all of a sudden was this massive shadow coming from the right. Woo! That was intimidating. VM's got the wires. Oh my goodness, he's a mechanical genius back there. I have no idea what he's doing, but it's pretty impressive. Have you ever met anybody that can film, play with wires? What else are you doing back there, VM? Are you knitting a jersey and he's got a torch in his mouth? It's simply, people that say that men cannot multitask have not met VM. I can tell you that right now. I think he's the king and the master and the original multitasker. That rhymed unintentionally. I'm just checking. The poor elephants have now stirred up all the grasses. It's all coming floating in the water now. Now, Claire, you're wondering how well can elephants see in the darkness. Claire, much better than I can, because at the moment, luckily the presenter light's on so I can sort of see. But other than that, I can't see anything that's around me. It's just pitch black and I can just hear lots and lots of sounds. So I'm not exactly sure how well they could see or the distance that they'd be able to see, but I'm sure they'd be able to see sort of figures. So, like how we always say, impala, wildebeest, zebra, or the plains game. Oh, someone's very unhappy back there. You can hear all the trumpeting, of course. They come out into those big open areas for safety at night so that they can see things moving around, the silhouetted sort of features. I reckon it's probably quite similar with elephants, but of course slightly better because I can't see anything silhouetted at all at the moment. Okay, well, the elephants have had enough now. They've stopped swimming. Right, let's come out of it. Woo! VM, do you want to go watch some lightning? Yeah. I think we're going to watch some lightning, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn off the infrared now. You ready? It's cool. Nicely done. Right, let's try and get back up here now. I don't know where I'm going. Actually, let's go forward. I want to try and get to a point very quickly. I'm going to go low range. Because the lightning is actually magnificent. I pulled just off the road a little bit, and I thought it would be easier for me to just go out this way on this little 2-track, which we've used a number of times. Yes, here we go, back on the road. Now, elephants, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Don't come charging out at me from the water, please. No, they're playing this side now. All I can see, my goodness, it looks like my brother has been here, because all over the road, now it's going to be difficult for you to see it, just these wet patches from obviously where the elephants have had to swim. They've come out of the water. They didn't use the towel to dry themselves, didn't shake themselves off. And it's exactly what happens in the bathroom after my brother's been to shower, is he floods the entire area. And I think there's a couple of culprits in camp too, haha, that do that every now and then, but we won't mention any names. It's not James, don't worry. If you're thinking that it's James, it isn't. James is very, very, very neat and tidy. He wouldn't dare leave a bathroom floor wet. VM, do you wipe the bathroom floor? Nope. Nope, VM says he doesn't. He's not even embarrassed about it. Oh, goodness. It's fun living in the camp that we live in. It's pretty amazing. Lovely. That was a great elephant sighting. I never knew that I could have such a spectacular elephant sighting like that at night, but thanks to the infrared, my goodness, all things are possible now. Tom, you're wondering if I've got a scorpion light? Aha, I do indeed. Now we need to find a scorpion. I need another light though. I have to get another light out to find the scorpion light. Let's look in here. In my box of tricks is sunglasses and a notebook, piece of paper, pen, lighter, camera, sunscreen, a speaker. Oh, there we go. Mosquito repellent. We can put this one back now in that box. Tom, here is my scorpion light. Pretty cool, eh? So let's see if we can find a scorpion to have a look at it. I don't know if we're going to be so lucky this evening. We haven't really been seeing much though I talk nonsense. We have a scorpion box at camp now. So basically, we have a little gym area, and this box contains boxing gloves, skipping ropes, yoga mats, weights of various sizes, And yesterday when we were digging in the box, we discovered that there was a scorpion. So it has now been dubbed the scorpion box. Scrub Hare, let's not have any problems like we did yesterday. Remember the one that ran towards me, which was outrageous? Off you go. You decide. You can choose which way you want to go. No, you want to follow me. VM, look at the big kudu. Can we go to infrared again, please? I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. Oh no, it's a little bit too dark. But that is a kudu cow. But there was a massive kudu bull. Oh no, it's a young kudu bull. I lied, it's a young kudu bull. Okay, it's a little bit too dark. That's alright. I think they're off to the party. They must have heard all the commotion at the dam and thought, well, geez, that sounds fun. Let's go over there. Sorry, chaps, you've missed it. It's over now. Too late, you know. People try to be fashionably late and then they've just missed the entire gathering. Right, we're going to keep on searching. I think we're going to do a couple of laps around quarantine and see if we can find anything interesting. That's a good spot for scorpions, Tom, so we'll try that out. Let's go back into Byron's car, who doesn't have a scorpion light.
I don't have a scorpion light, but I found a Bushbaby and it's hiding in the bush. I'm trying to reposition. Let's see if we can get him on camera for you. Straight through there, Craig. Let's see. Every now and then he moves his head, so it's to the back of this tree. Have a look exactly up a little bit and to the center of the spotlight. Just in there, straight through there. Go zoom straight in the middle around there. Oh, did he just move? Hang on, sorry. There he goes. Oh, he's going up the tree. There he is on the tree, on the big tree. There he is. Can you see him? Look at that. There we go, Bushbaby. Oh, wonderful. And he's come out into the open. Yeah. Watch us jump. Watch us jump. Wow. Did you see that? That was amazing. And just as quickly as we found him, he disappeared. How great was that? What a lovely view of a Bushbaby. Awesome. Oh, there we go. I've still got it. Told you it's too soon to panic, Craig. Oh, that was wonderful. Lesser Bushbaby. Lesser Bushbaby. Now, Taylor's got a hyena. Let's go have a look quickly.
Right, here we go. We've got a hyena. We're on a roll tonight. Who is this hyena? Ribbon? Ribbon, is it you? Maybe. There it is. Walking on the... I need to duck my head so you can see. Just to show you that we do have a hyena. Now, you know the problem with hyenas is that they're always on the move. It actually does not look like Ribbon, I don't think. Let me try and get it again. So we're going to have to keep moving as we try and follow this one. Let's try and figure out who it is. If you know who this is, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, of course, help us out. No, it's quite big. I think I think it could be a female. And from the tracks that I saw on the road just after you left us, they actually look like they came from the den, so possibly it is her. And remember, we all thought that Ribbon was a boy for quite some time, and then we realized that she wasn't, actually ended up being a girl. Right, let's carry on. Okay, the bugs now, because of the spotlight, have decided that it's very nice to jump on my throat. And she's moving off the road now. Well, that's nice. Let's watch it as it disappears in the long grass. There we go. Bye-bye, hyena. Going to camp? Going to visit us? Yes, probably on its way to come and say hello to us at the DRC. Short and sweet sighting of a hyena, but that's normally how they are, and yes, you're sitting at a den site. Otherwise, they don't seem to want to stick around for very long. And I don't blame a hyena. They're very, very busy creatures, especially at night time, going off in search of food. Whether it's to hunt something, perhaps snatch up and impale a lamb, or to scavenge off of a lion carcass or an animal that's ended up passing on. The real cleanup crew. And I suppose they're actually quite specialist, because there's not many other animals that feed specifically at night, that scavenge. I'm just trying to think, VM, what else can you think of that scavenges in the middle of the night like a hyena does? Because the reptiles won't be active. They're only active during the day when it's a bit warmer, so you're not going to see any water monitors or rock monitors and things scavenging upon them. Jackals, yes, of course, jackals we definitely have. They're scavenging about on a carcass. Lions, definitely not. Oh my goodness, these pesky elephants. This is my favorite road and they've ruined it now. They've turned this tree upside down literally, and I'm not going to be able to move this tree out of the way with the car. Normally if it's a smallish tree, I just put my bull bar to it, and then it's quite easy to actually move it out of the way. But yeah, actually, so I lied. There's actually many animals that I suppose, if you get thinking, that scavenge at the night, but nothing quite like a hyena. Oh my goodness, we're trapped. I have to go into 4x4 for this, because we've got to go over a little... No, we're not in anything. Right, in gear. Are you ready, VM? Meow. Over we go. A small little branch. Down. Put the spotlight down. Maybe it'll be easier with two hands. Meow. There we go. That was easy. Right, we're going to keep navigating through here. Who knows, maybe we pick up on another hyena, or perhaps a jackal, maybe even a lion. Let's go back across to the Bushbaby King.
Thank you, Taylor, but well done on that hyena. That's awesome. That's a lovely surprise. And I know a lot of you know most of these hyenas very, very well. Oh, some scrub hare. There we go. A pair of scrub hare. I don't want to shine the light on them too much. Now, while I'm sitting here, I can just hear all the bugs hitting the roof, the canvas of the roof. So many bugs around at the moment. And again, that's because of all this rain and the moisture around. So a lot of bugs. I forgot what it's like guiding with the spotlight when you've got all these bugs flying around you. But that's lovely. A pair of scrub hare. There we go. I'll take the light off them now. There they go. And how great was that Bushbaby? I'm so glad it decided to jump out into the open for us. And I mean, you saw how agile it was climbing up on the tree, and to see it shoot off like that. Really, really amazing jumpers. I'm surprised I haven't heard too many frogs with this weather around at the moment. I would have thought with the rain we may start hearing some frogs calling again. But I suppose there's a lot of pools, a lot of mud wallows. So I'm sure a lot of the mating between the frog species has already occurred in the summer. But you never know, you should still get a few frogs calling. James is still in his tent. Oh, we're going to swallowing some bugs here. Let's go see what James is up to in the tent.
I'm eating grass. I'm not swallowing bugs. I, of course, cannot go outside now and fossick around for things that are relevant to the drive, so I'm just going to talk about my own thing, if you don't mind. As many of you will know, because I've mentioned it 786 times, I have been reading a book called Born in Africa by a chap called Martin Meredith. And something I read in there the other day made me think of this stone tool that we found somewhere around here. I forget exactly where. And it's really interesting because it comes from a technology called the Artulian. I may have got the pronunciation wrong, but Artulian technology. And it began about 1.76 million years ago that tools like this started to be made by the progenitor of Homo erectus, which in turn was probably the progenitor of us, well, eventually. And it was called Homo habilis that made this, that started making these tools. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily made by a hominid from, say, 1 million years ago, but it's possible. because by the time Homo sapiens got into this area, they were operating with a much more sophisticated stone technology than this. And this persisted for a long time until Homo, I think it was one of the other Homo species, probably Homo rhodesiensis or heidelbergensis, which seems to be the same species. They, I think, took technology to a new level. But isn't it fascinating to think that somewhere walking around here in the prehistory of, say, 1 million years ago was a primitive human being on this very landscape? And I just think that's quite fantastic. Homo habilis, as he was, had a brain case. Probably our average brain case size is about 1,200 to 1,400 cubic centimeters. So that's millimeters. I'm not going to vaguely attempt. Well, it's about 3 pints, basically. Your brain's got 3 pints in it. The Neanderthal's about the same size. And I think Homo erectus round about just about hit 1,000 cubic centimeters, or 2 pints or so. And this chap, Homo habilis, if this was indeed made by one of him, had a brain case of about 900 cubic centimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Now that means that he wasn't a particularly clever fellow, but he was no dimwit either. And they probably lived in fairly sophisticated social groupings. We know how sophisticated the groupings of chimpanzees are, for example. We know how sophisticated their communication is. We don't think that they could talk, but certainly they would have been communicating with each other at a fairly advanced level, and they came up with this technology. And they weren't as yet able to manipulate fire. And that apparently made a huge difference to the increase in our brain size. So that's a little story of our human ancestors, or our human origins from this area, which I think is rather wonderful, don't you? Yes. Getting a question now from Rebecca. Rebecca, you say, what fossils have we found on the reserve? I have never found a fossil on this reserve, and I think that it's unlikely that we would. Again, I'm no expert in anthropology or archaeology, but from what I've read recently, fossils only form under very specific situations, and that situation, for example, I don't know how many of you know how a fossil forms, but I've recently come to this knowledge. Let's say a big leg bone, like, for example, this. A giraffe dies, right? If a giraffe dies out here, what will happen is that eventually this bone will disintegrate. It will disintegrate completely under the action of water and sun and wind. And it may be buried slightly under the ground, and then it will probably disintegrate as well. But for a fossil to form, what normally, or for example, what could happen with this bone, let's say that Buffelshoek Dam was a permanent was a sort of small inland lake of permanent water, which obviously it isn't, but we pretend that it is. Let's say the giraffe died in the water, quite by chance. So you can see how immediately, how many giraffe have you seen die in there? Very few. The bone would sink down onto the mud and eventually be covered in mud. And slowly that mud would be compacted on top again and again and again over the years. And over the years, the bone would eventually disintegrate. But because it had been compacted so much on top, it would leave this kind of space underneath, in between. And that would then be filled by different material from, I think I'm getting this right, by different material from that was on the surface. And in that layer when it originally fell onto the surface. So it's now under a whole lot of mud. And it would be compacted and eventually form a sort of cast of the actual bone. So a fossil isn't actually made of bone, it's made of rock. And that's one of the ways that a fossil is made. And so for a bone to become a fossil, the chances of it happening, the chances of you or I becoming a fossil are minusculely small. And so the chances of any of those hundreds of thousands of creatures wandering around here during those ancient times of actually becoming fossils are very small. And so now if we take us back to the question about whether there are fossils here, this did used to be an ancient sea, an inland sea, but almost before the dawn of life. So after the dawn of life, this has been pretty dry, and certainly I would imagine, while it's definitely experienced times of extreme dry and extreme wet, I don't think that the conditions have ever been very good for fossilization in this area. And likewise, in terms of inland seas and permanent lakes and sedimentary formations of rock, etc. And then likewise, there's been very little volcanic or tectonic activity that's to push up sort of striations of soil and expose bits and pieces from prehistory. And that's why East Africa is so good. Lake Turkana, Olduvai, up in Ethiopia. The tectonic activity there on the Rift Valley is no surprise that it's on the Rift Valley, where Africa is slowly sort of splitting in half. It has exposed huge faces of rock that have been covered up over the years. So sedimentary rock that's been covered up, and then under the action of the Rift Valley, it's kind of almost like sliced a multi-layered cake, and in those layers of sometimes volcanic ash, sometimes mud, sometimes sand, what you find is a whole lot of these fossils, and that's how the fossil hunters go and look for them. South Africa's fossils, the most famous hominid fossils, have been found in caves where our ancient ancestors fell down holes into these caves, and there they were either most likely buried in water and sediment. Then those caves are washed out again, and the fossils have become exposed. So that's just, that's one of the ways that this sort of thing happens, and it's one of the ways these things happen. And all I wanted to say to you there, sorry, I'm giggling about something else, which I'll explain to you now. I would have got some of that wrong. Some of that will not be correct, but that's basically the idea. And so, to answer in a very long-winded way, Aussie Mum, that's why it's unlikely that we'll find fossils here. Yes, I'm sure there are some fossils under the ground, in and around the place, but look, I haven't found any here. Brent used to find quite a few in Pindar, but not like this. They were gastropods, very, very ancient ones. Reese, sorry, you wanted to know about somebody using tools? Are baboons capable of using tools? Yes, I would say baboons probably are capable of using tools. They can use grass. I've not seen a baboon use grass. So we know that chimpanzees can use tools. We know that they use rocks. They don't fashion rocks like this. They will use a blunt rock. They'll pick a rock up and to smash things. We know that they do that thing of dipping a grass plant into a termite mound, for example, pulling it out and then licking the termites off. We know that chimps can do that. Baboons, I don't know if baboons do that. I'm not sure. Baboons can learn, however. For example, today, the baboons got into Inga's house, for example, because one of the windows was left unlocked. Not open, unlocked. So they learn that sort of thing. And I think baboons have been recorded using very primitive tools like picking up a rock to smash something. They definitely throw stones. So, yeah, very basically. But there are other species that are able to use, I seem to remember that I've read about other species that use tools that are not primates. I've now, of course, completely forgotten what species these might include. I have a feeling that elephants have been seen using tools. Honey badgers use tools. They will pick up rocks or roll rocks into position to get up to higher positions. So they use tools. So it's not an exclusively primate thing, but obviously the more closer to us you get, the more sophisticated the tool use becomes. Very good question, that. And Lauren, you've got a comment. You say, when I put grass in my mouth, do I not worry about animals that may have marked on the grass? Lauren, what you find is that correctly aged animal marking gives grass the taste of a fine Shiraz. What was that, David?
I laughed. I just giggled.
You giggled a little, did you? Okay. Lauren, sometimes I do, but most of the time I sort of guess that the statistical likelihood of a particular grass plant having been urinated on by a cat, for example, very small. And I've never tasted cat urine. I don't think I ever will taste urine. And so, no, I don't worry about it too much. Now, we are coming to the end of our drive, everybody, and I know you're wondering to yourself, how long can that complete imbecile keep waffling at us without pause? And you'll be pleased to know that I will only be doing it for another 20 17 seconds. Thank you very much for coming on Drive with us today, or on Walk, and 2 drives, and then much in the tent. We will see you tomorrow at 05:30 for 2 drives and a walk. Until then, stay safe and happy wherever you happen to be, and I hope not to see you in the tent tomorrow.